I'm a bit of a wimp. I've said many times on the channel I grew up watching horror, but that doesn't mean I always did it willingly. I also didn't mention that I had tears in my eyes a lot of the time because my big sisters would freak me out. So, in recognition of the fact that I'm 25 now, goofy uncle, I want to revisit what I remember scaring me as a kid to prove, once and for all, that I am in fact not scared Shrekless by the Pinocchio scene. Amongst others. In a recent video of mine, I received a lovely comment from someone saying that the way that they define horror is based on the intention the director puts into the audience being scared. I think that this is something I struggle with, as I lack a lot of the emotional connectivity that other people seem to have, and look at filmmaking techniques as how they are utilized to explain the emotion I'm supposed to feel is being conveyed and not actually feeling that emotion a lot of the time. That's a mouthful, but basically I'm kind of like normal SpongeBob.
Hi, how are you?
This also means that I have only my memories to serve me, and with that, the emotion of an 8-year-old attached to them. So I'm going to have each segment of this video split up into before and after I watch these things because I'm curious as to how much I'll remember. Let's start off with Wizards of Waverly Place. This one is kind of odd, but I imagine the most popular of the things that I'll be watching on this list. From my memory, the episode has Alex wanting to go to a movie theater to watch a scary movie when she is maybe grounded or otherwise not able to go for some reason. I also think that Justin has a joke about how their mom likes a light dark pattern in the carpet when vacuuming. I'll play it now.
Psych!
I think of this every time I vacuum because I also like seeing that. I'm curious if this joke comes up in the episode. The scary part of this though was some thing walking slowly towards Alex as the tension builds, and I remember them looking like one of those creatures from The Descent, but with a robe. It's kind of funny, as I'm writing the script, it still creeps me out, just the imagery of it. I have butterflies. Also, when I was a kid, the same day I watched this, I wanted to clean out a cigarette ashtray to see what the bottom looked like, so I blew on it to get the ashes out, and they got in my eye, but I was too embarrassed to say anything, so I just went for a walk around the block and let my tears clear it out instead. As of now, before watching it, I'm gonna guess that this will be probably like a 2 out of 10 on the scary scale. Probably not very scary at all, but the design I imagine is quite creepy and there's probably an intense dread with them coming towards Alex. Oh, and is there a Slumber Party Massacre reference somewhere in here?
The night of the Halloween sorority party disaster, 2.
Right, so dolls. Dolls have always scared me. It started when I was watching Child's Play as a kid. Ade-doo-wee Dembella. He scared the ade-doo-wah-doo-doo out of me. A couple quick memories, considering this video just seems to be a trip down memory lane. I once stayed at an aunt's house and my sisters made me cry because they took the DVD box set of Chucky out and I didn't like the cover. Also, a house in my neighborhood had a Glen doll for Halloween on their porch, and when I approached the door, I fell off of the porch out of fear. R.L. Stine's The Haunting Hour came out in 2010, so I was kind of the perfect demographic for it. Goosebumps was too corny and old for me, but Chucky was too scary, so this was kind of the perfect thing for me to find on Comcast On Demand. I was in my room, it was summertime, I had every window completely blocked and my lights off. Yeah, it scared me all throughout, but when we got to this paranormal activity angle and the doll popped up, I screamed. I ran outside, probably crying, to my family and had to work up the nerve to go back in there and finish the episode, if I ever did. I don't remember. I do remember though, a couple years later when I was probably like 13, I wanted to scare my little sister with the same episode, so I showed it to her thinking it wouldn't be a big deal, and I got too scared to watch it then. I turned it off and we watched Supernatural and ate no-bake cookies that night instead. Do I think this will freak me out now? I'm gonna guess it's probably like a 7 on the scary scale. Just a couple weeks ago, I was at a VHS horror shop and there was a doll there and it kept jump scaring me when I turned around. It was just standing there, menacingly. It happened like 3 times and I was very embarrassed that my wife kept seeing it. Again, I'm 25. Going into the haunting in Connecticut, I can't say that this one is my fault. I had an aunt and uncle whose house I would go spend the night at pretty often, and I knew when I went there we got to watch scary movies. To this day, I give them huge credit for my love of Freddy and Jason specifically, so shout out them. This one doesn't have a super interesting story. I just remember hating the scene when the junk comes out of this dude's throat. And for the longest time, it was this and Grave Encounters that I put as my scariest movies when somebody asked me. This one, I imagine, is probably scary, but also a product of the time as far as visuals. It did come out in 2009, which is pre-jump scare era. I know it got a sequel, so I imagine it's probably pretty good, if not just popular because it's scary. I'm predicting an 8 out of 10 on the scary scale. Now, as far as Scared Shrekless, which was mentioned earlier, this is embarrassing. So I'm probably going to run through it pretty quickly. I was home alone when I was probably 12 or 13, maybe even pushing 14. I watched this and I didn't like the Pinocchio scene. It scared me when he's crawling on the ceiling. Where's it going to hit on the scary scale? Probably a 0. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm not scared of shit.
Siri. Hey Siri. Call my wife. I don't want to go out there. I don't want to. Are you sure? Okay.
Well, this has been informative. Definitely a wide spectrum for what I was watching here. The one thing I realized while watching these was that I was not doing a good job at following my prompt of watching them with emotion in mind and not using my analytical side, as pretentious as that may sound. It's funny because I started this channel as a way to challenge my ability to form my thoughts and opinions into words more efficiently. Recently, I heard that a good place to start as a beginner with film analysis was to ask how a movie makes you feel. Coupling that mentality with the aforementioned comment on my Ready or Not video, and I feel as if I'm actively fighting against the instincts I've worked so hard to establish. Anyways, let's talk about Wizards of Waverly Place, I guess. Before we go too far into things, I do want to let you guys know that when I was watching this, I did have a bit of a tummy ache. Here's some footage. I hope it isn't too shocking for you, but you'll find a GoFundMe link below if you want to help me out during this hard time. I think for reference on how my scary scale looks, I'm going to put a 1 as Batman and Robin, a movie that's not scary at all, and a 10 as Hereditary, the movie that probably scares me the most. Wizards of Waverly Place is going to end up as like a 2. I think what it's pulling off here is interesting. We start off with Alex wanting to see Night of the Halloween Sorority Party Disaster. 2. So I did correctly remember that it was a Slumber Party Massacre reference, even if it was very loosely. And I was saddened that there wasn't a sick electric guitar dance sequence.
Now it's time for the fun part.
The only other reference to horror I caught was thinking that this dude kind of looked like Andy Muschietti, the director of It, and a lesser-known horror movie, The Flash. I looked it up, and it isn't. But, well, it isn't, so I guess I can move on from this. Hopping into the scary part of the episode, we get a crazy aspect ratio change. Holy crap, was this distracting. And we are in the movie with Alex, and eventually Justin, where we get this monstrosity walking around. And yes, it did creep me out a bit. It's an effectively creepy look where we are touching the uncanny valley where they're human-esque, but not enough to feel comfort. The cloak isn't helping, with wondering what the intention of the killer is. It could be cult-based, it could be hiding a non-human form. We don't know. There's also a reference to it being a vengeful spirit.
Are you the evil sorority sister who's come back from the grave to punish us for our cute but reckless destruction of perfectly good pillows?
So, who knows? The sound of the hairdryer coming toward us, at least looking at it through the mind of a child, could be effectively scary as there's an overwhelming and signature noise getting louder as it comes closer.
Why me? Because you're the older brother.
Think of a chainsaw sound putting you in the headspace of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Kinda similar. The implication of a masked person coming towards you to harm you with it somehow is the scary part. Altogether, it was fun to revisit, and no, the light-dark pattern was not in this episode. Scared Shrekless was definitely the goofiest one I watched. It wasn't a waste of my time by any stretch of the imagination. DreamWorks has another level of commitment with the references to pop culture in all the Shrek movies, and it doesn't let up here. The entire aesthetic of the Exorcist movie, or at least a haunted house movie, is faithfully recreated in a way that is rather immersive. Every one of the voice actors does a great job. The animators know how to move Pinocchio around in a fun way that utilized his character to its fullest potential, and that voice is fucking creepy. It isn't entirely scary anymore, but it's moments like this where the camera pushes in tight on a drooling doll, and the way that he's crawling around on the ceiling, that remind me of why this has stuck with me for so many years. probably a 3 out of 10 on the scary scale. It commits way harder than Disney Channel was willing to or was able to with the budget that they had, and creates some truly gross and memorable moments. Only tangentially related here, but shout out to this dude for his DVD review of Scared Shrekless. He's low-key handling this one so slick, one-handed. With The Haunting Hour, I ended up realizing I must have finished this because amidst the rewatch, I found myself remembering where things were going after the paranormal activity angle, which is pretty early in the episode, and these episodes are kind of fucked up. The mom is totally emotionally and verbally abusive to the daughter, who is, yes, committing the sin of being spoiled, but she's just a product of her environment, which I imagine is not very constructive. The doll is given some truly creepy moments throughout both episodes, and it's honestly pretty well filmed. The camera work at the end of episode 1 was disorienting and confusing. The spot that our main character is placed in is daunting, and with the short amount of time that we're given, a lot of pathos is developed. She isn't as adorable as our goat Andy, Chucky, but she delivers a performance that ranges widely on the emotional spectrum that really shows how damaging this whole situation has been. The resonance felt from this alone helps me understand why this had such an emotional impact on me as a kid. The transformation from human to doll, where she's crawling around slowly changing, is hard to watch, and the eye effect is genuinely flawless. I can't believe how well they sold this. The primal monkey brain fear of dolls for me definitely kicked in during this viewing, so that is influencing my scale, but I think that there's some solid stuff here that lends to the quality of the rating. Scary scale is jumping up to a 6 here. Also, when they throw the dummy down here, you can see the bottom half of it just doesn't exist, which I found endlessly funny. I watched Haunting in Connecticut, and it was honestly exactly what I expected. A solid horror movie with decent scares and a handful of real characters that I felt emotion for. The movie's flashy editing was, yes, very much a product of the time, but the split mind space our character's having between his memories and those thrust upon him by the dead kid make it make sense within the viewing. The prosthetics, makeup, and special effects team carried this movie across the scary scale finish line with the victims of the experiments. The writing on their skin really hit home. It wasn't just scary, but held a lot of weight within the story, as there's a fear of the effects of the medical treatments being thrust upon the family as is with Matt. Even after a few days past watching this, I've been consistently thinking of how this movie made me feel. It's the scene where they discover the box contains eyelids that I keep flashing back to.
What are they?
Eyelids. Human eyelids.
What are they for?
Necromancy.
The hand-wavy nature with which it's mentioned rings as human as I may have ever seen in a horror movie. Yes, of course this would be shocking, but we know what it is beforehand, so it's not as surprising. It's the fact that the characters here come across as if they already know what this probably was, even if they didn't want to say it. Nicholas has heard of this before if he hasn't experienced it firsthand. The empathy built for the dead is truly felt when the director takes the time to show these characters don't find it fascinating, but tragic and scary. Going back to the ectoplasm scene actually was hard for me to watch, even now. The effects hold up masterfully, and the description of why everything is happening in our obligatory research scene really hurt to listen to. The scariest part of the movie kicks in the back half, where our main character is running through the halls of his house, and this is written on the wall. I mean, can you imagine having to live through the rest of your life knowing that your hand was this close to danger? I found the movie lacked a through line of an impending doom to keep the narrative moving at a quick pace, but otherwise this movie deserves a solid 8 out of 10 on the scary scale. Thank you, Kyle Gallner, for always being there for us in pretty much every horror movie since you were 11. Was any of this worth it? Well, it wasn't all worth being scared over for too many years of my life, but it was worth revisiting. I like that I've developed the ability to describe why these things scare me now on a technical level, but I also think it's cool to rediscover what scares me as a point of reference for diving into what movies I'm on the lookout for in the future. What scared you as a kid? Was it any of these? I had a lot of fun making it, so if it does well and if you guys are interested, maybe I'll make another. Also, my wife said to shout out Zach and Cody for making her scared of Hispanic bellhops or something. Pizza! If you enjoyed this video, share it around. Give it a like, check out the rest of the channel if you want. Otherwise, thank you for watching.